What is up, everybody? Welcome back to episode 19 of the Playbook Podcast, our last episode. You heard it. It's our last one.
Last one on the playbook.
We are doing part 4 of our series here, Cool Details That You May Have Missed from the Bible. And X has put together a lot of cool examples.
Another little note, we are not done with the podcast. We're just rebranding.
Yes.
For those of you who aren't on Instagram, because I don't know if we said anything in the last video about it, but we're rebranding, and our new podcast name is going to be It Is Wells With My Soul. A little play on the ELS and Wells, but also a hymn. So we're pretty excited about rebranding and the name that we're bringing on, because I feel like it displays what we're talking about much better.
A little bit more than, yeah.
And so today we're going to be focusing on God's ceremonial laws when he gave them to Old Testament Israel, and actually how some of those things were beneficial to their lives, whether that be obviously spiritual, but like physical or emotional, whatnot. So there's actually benefits outside of just God commanding it and them following it. And so the first example that we are going to go into is from Leviticus 11, verses 1 through 12. It says, "And the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying to them, Speak to the people of Israel, saying, These are the living things that you may eat among the animals that are on the earth. Whatever parts the hoof and is cloven-footed and chews the cud among the animals you may eat. Nevertheless, among those that chew the cud or part the hoof, you shall not eat these. The camel, because it chews the cud but does not part the hoof, is unclean to you. And the rock badger, because it chews the cud but does not part the hoof, is unclean to you. And the hare, because it chews the cud but does not part the hoof, is unclean to you. And the pig, because it parts the hoof and is cloven-footed but does not chew the cud, is unclean to you. You shall not eat any of their flesh. You shall not touch their carcasses. They are unclean to you.
These you may eat, of all that are in the waters. Everything in the waters that has fins and scales, whether in the seas or in the rivers, you may eat. But anything in the seas or the rivers that does not have fins and scales, of the swarming creatures in the waters and of the living creatures that are in the waters, is detestable to you. You shall regard them as detestable. You shall not eat any of their flesh, and you shall detest their carcasses. Everything in the waters that does not have fins and scales is detestable to you."
And this seems rather odd. It's like, why is God restricting these choices of clean versus unclean animals? What's the big deal with these? Well, they were not allowed to eat these unclean animals, but this actually provided a health benefit to them. What I'm about to read is from a medical journal. It says, "Pig is the cradle of harmful germs. Scientific evidence has proved that pig's meat is least healthy, having different harmful agents like cholesterol and fatty acids, bacteria and toxins, and a number of parasites. The pig meat is high in fat and cholesterol that causes cardiovascular disease, obesity, the incidence of large intestine cancer. Bacteria and toxins associated with pigs spread many diseases like salmonellosis, which leads to the acute gastroenteritis and diarrhea. Many other diseases like tuberculosis, ursinosis, listeriosis, leptospirosis, bilantidal dysentery, foot rot, cholera, and erysipeloid are attributed to pork consumption." And another finding from research about shellfish also says shellfish might be harvested from water that naturally contains bacteria that can make people ill, or water that has been contaminated by bacteria, parasites, or viruses from the feces of people or animals. The shellfish can be contaminated by the water or by someone handling them with unclean hands. And you can see by these examples that it could have been dangerous, especially with the lack of knowledge of bacteria and viruses at the time, for these people to eat these things. They didn't have the same, cook it to 165 to make sure it's clean. And so with these lack of cooking methods, it could have been actually dangerous for them to try and eat these things. And so God, in some sense, was protecting them from those things.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's kind of interesting that God makes those rules, I think, rather than just saying don't eat these. They're probably not good for you. But you can see based off the behavior of Israel that, I mean, probably people didn't even follow all these anyway. And I'm not sure why God made them rules, but
well, and it's important to remember too, these are just benefits that come along with it. The
Yes,
purpose of them is to
suppose so.
point forward to Christ and it's for a spiritual purpose. So keep that in mind. These are all spiritual things that have this added underlying benefit of
Sure,
also a physical aid as well. And so you can see, like, for clean versus unclean things, it's kind of getting us to see in the spiritual realm there are clean versus unclean things as well, and things that we need to be discerning between. So
yeah, and I'm sure too. I mean, what this helps a little bit is kind of self-control too. It's probably teaching them a lot more than just what meat is for good or bad, but like you said, I think spiritual is kind of the focus of that too. It's teaching them. It's pointing forward to what's to come.
Yeah, exactly, and it's setting rules up until Christ comes that point forward to Him. So
For Him to tear the curtain.
And so you see from this vision that this is kind of ultimately setting up for the fact that Christ came and He made all things clean for us. And again, in addition to that spiritual lesson that God is teaching and that God is pointing forward with, there's also this physical benefit added.
Yeah, and so, okay, our next example here now is from Leviticus chapter 13, verses 2 to 6. When a person has on the skin of his body a swelling or an eruption or a spot, and it turns into a case of leprous disease on the skin of his body, then he shall be brought to Aaron the priest, or to one of the sons of the priests, and the priest shall examine the diseased area on the skin of his body. And if the hair in the diseased area has turned white, and the disease appears to be deeper than the skin of his body, it is a case of leprous disease. When the priest has examined him, he shall pronounce him unclean. But if the spot is white in the skin of his body, and appears no deeper than the skin, and the hair in it has not turned white, the priest shall shut up the diseased person for 7 days. And the priest shall examine him on the 7th day. And if in his eyes the disease is checked, and the disease has not spread in the skin, then the priest shall shut him up for another 7 days. And the priest shall examine him again on the 7th day. And if the diseased area has faded, and the disease has not spread in the skin, then the priest shall pronounce him clean. It is only an eruption, and he shall wash his clothes and be clean.
Man, giving me flashbacks to COVID.
Yeah, I know. I was like, quarantine, no.
Yeah. But that's essentially what God is telling the people to do. Is He's telling them to quarantine. And again here, in addition from separating themselves from unclean things, God is also giving them this physical benefit of, He's having them quarantine, or the priest quarantine them if they are sick, so that they don't infect other people and that they don't pass these diseases along, and it becomes a big, widespread problem. And that about wraps up everything that we have for that second one. Not a very long one, but pretty self-explanatory. But example 3 is going to come from Deuteronomy 23, verses 12 to 14. It says, "You shall have a place outside the camp, and you shall go out to it. And you shall have a trowel with your tools, and when you sit down outside, you shall dig a hole with it, and turn back and cover up your excrement. Because the Lord your God walks in the midst of your camp to deliver you and give you up your enemies before you. Therefore your camp must be holy, so that he may not see anything indecent among you and turn away from you."
Interesting. I mean, like we were talking about with the first two examples, there's spiritual reasons or why God commands these things. But here it kind of lists out why or what that spiritual kind of aspect is that, make sure your camp is holy. Cover up your poop.
You got this. Yeah, you got this mighty guest coming. You don't want poop laying all over your house, pretty much.
Clean it up.
If you're got little kids and you invite guests over, you don't leave their turds laying around.
Yeah, that'd be something. Or maybe it's more comparable to like your backyard and dog poop too nowadays, but still, same kind of idea.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. So there's that spiritual reasoning, but also if you look at, I believe it was the Black Plague, where this was a big problem. And where it was just super unsanitary and led to a bunch of diseases. This can actually be a big benefit and it prevented them from going down into potentially very spreadable disease. And this is because burying your excretions outside of the camp would prevent the contamination of water sources, because if you're burying it within the camp, some of the water might get contaminated, or if it's laying around, it might get contaminated. And also, this would lead to a reduced spread of diseases like cholera, dysentery, parasites, etc.
We will move on now to our fourth example, Numbers 19, verses 11 through 13. Whoever touches the dead body of a person shall be unclean 7 days. He shall cleanse himself with water on the 3rd day, and on the 7th day, and so be clean. But if he does not cleanse himself on the 3rd day and on the 7th day, he will not become clean. Whoever touches a dead person, the body of anyone who has died, and does not cleanse himself, defiles the tabernacle of the Lord, and that person shall be cut off from Israel. Because the water for impurity was not thrown on him, he shall be unclean. His uncleanliness is still on him. Interesting.
Yeah. And so part of the reason that God, or some of the physical benefits, I should say, of this are that oftentimes when dead bodies are handled, especially if they had disease and they're pretty relatively new to being dead, that sounds weird, but, yeah. But like if they died recently, workers who routinely handle corpses have a higher risk of contracting tuberculosis, bloodborne viruses, and gastrointestinal infections. So those include things like cholera, E. coli, hepatitis A, rotavirus, diarrhea, salmonellosis, and so on and so forth. And things like tuberculosis, if there's residual of the virus left in the lungs and like in transportation, the body, like by touching the body, some of the air is pushed out of the lungs. It can actually aerate those things and put those viruses or diseases into the air. Or the bloodborne ones, if the person was bleeding when they died and you touched their body, those could potentially get into your blood if you have an open wound, just like it can nowadays with open blood. And that's why it's treated so seriously. If you like watch college sports and there's blood on the court, they have to make sure they wipe it all up first. And then the gastrointestinal ones can be transmitted from the feces that are leaked out of the dead body as well. So,
bet you guys didn't know this episode was going to be like this.
yeah. Talk about a potty talk.
yeah.
But no, it's very fun and interesting to look at.
Yeah.
How like, in addition to the spiritual benefits, God is also benefiting them physically as well.
It's almost like God created everything and he knew, he knows what's good and bad for us.
Yeah. And finally, our last example for today, we had hinted at this, I think, a few episodes ago, maybe the first episode of this series when we were talking about circumcision. I'd said we'd come back to it later, and now we're finally getting to it. So some of the more intricate parts of circumcision, which are actually really, really cool, and the benefits that it brings along with it. So jumping into Genesis 17, verses 9 to 14, which is where God gives Abraham the covenant of circumcision. It says, "And God said to Abraham, 'As for you, you shall keep my covenant, you and your offspring after you throughout their generations. This is my covenant, which you shall keep between me and you and your offspring after you. Every male among you shall be circumcised. You shall be circumcised in the flesh of your foreskin, and it shall be a sign of the covenant between me and you. He who is 8 days old among you shall be circumcised, every male throughout your generation, whether born in your house or bought with your money from any foreigner, who is not your offspring. Both he who is born in your house and he who is bought with your money shall be circumcised. So shall my covenant be in your flesh, an everlasting covenant. Any uncircumcised male who is not circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin shall be cut off from his people. He has broken my covenant." So when looking into this passage, we'll first start with some of the benefits of circumcision in general. And again, this one it's very easy to tell the spiritual benefits. God is marking his people by the covenant. This is marking his people in the covenant, and so they're becoming basically children of God and offspring of Abraham. So this one's extremely easy to see, the spiritual benefits. But then in addition, there's also health benefits of circumcision. So part of this can be This comes from a medical journal as well. A treatment for tight skin. It's called phimosis, paraphimosis, which is essentially, I know this is a bit grotesque, but it's the inability of the foreskin to return to its original position after being retracted, which can cause major health benefits because it kind of cuts off your circulation. And so there's a big health risk there. And then it can also get infected a lot, the foreskin can. And so you can see these, especially with maybe the less hygienic society that they were living in than we have nowadays and all the modern technology and things, it could have been a real big problem for their health as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. There is too, and maybe you're going to talk about this, kind of when Jesus comes and dies and was resurrected, he kind of abolishes the need for this in terms of like the law of itself, but and then through its baptism, right?
Yeah, he relates it to baptism. It's not like a direct replacement. Yeah,
gotcha. But yeah, we are marked in kind of a similar way nowadays, where we don't say circumcision's required, but we are marked through our baptism by God in the same way. And yeah, I mean, it's cool to see that, you know, back then God is using certain means, and I mean, they may be a little bit, I don't know, different than what we would expect at times with, you know, limiting food and stuff like that. But there's a lot of surprising benefits from these things too.
Yeah.
So he didn't choose things that are like going to harm us.
And then in addition, God often in Scripture, the Holy Spirit has caused to be written that a lot of times, even in the New Testament as well, but also the Old Testament, it talks about circumcising your heart. So that act of like cutting away your flesh.
That's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
So it's also an analogy for, because you're in circumcision, you're quite literally cutting away some of your flesh. And so when he says circumcise your hearts, it's like cutting that flesh away from your heart. And a final thing about circumcision that is extremely, extremely interesting is it says, he who is 8 days old among you shall be circumcised. And this is so interesting to me because this was, again, written in a medical journal that is a non-religious institution. And it says, at the conclusion of it all, it does kind of like an in-depth dive. This is where the previous information came from as well. It says, conclusively, it is of medical importance that the male circumcision be carried out on the 8th day after birth, since the level of vitamin K is the highest on this day, and vitamin K plays a pivotal role in regulation and control of the important clotting factors in the coagulation pathway that helps in stopping bleeding. And so if this were to take place before the 8th day, there was a chance that the baby wouldn't be able to stop the bleeding because they didn't have enough vitamin K. And so by having it on the 8th day, it ensures that they'll be able to stop the bleeding. And it's just cool how God looks out for his people in that way too, how he gives that restriction. There may also be spiritual reason behind that, but there definitely is also that physical aspect behind it too.
Yeah.
So,
man, it's interesting. It's kind of fun. There's a lot of things when we're diving into these series that when I read them, it's like a clear puzzle piece. You're like, wow, I can really see kind of that what God is doing. And then there's others that you're kind of like, this is potentially what this is, but like regardless, it's pretty cool. Like
it's cool that it still relates somehow, even if that's not like the original intention necessarily.
And the details of it. So I mean, with this one, it's like in Scripture clearly says the 8th day, and then that's backed by science, and it's like, bang, there you go. Like
the mic drop.
It's pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's just cool to read through all of these sections of Scripture. These are all Old Testament because they're more the laws, especially ceremonial laws. You see how God was working, and is still providing for his people. When you view it properly, it should be like the icing on the cake.
Yes.
It's not the reason we do these. The spiritual aspect should be the focus, but it is. There's some bonuses to it too that people don't really realize. So And there's still probably so much more in there too that like someday down the road we'll have a scientific breakthrough and it's like Bible talked about it, like it's already got it covered. Don't worry.
Yeah.
But
and it's always important to keep in mind too. Like we talk about this all the time. Jesus is the Word, and all things point to Him.
Yeah.
And this was a way that the people of the Old Testament worshipped God. Was that they followed His laws and they showed their love for God by following these things, and that was their way of pointing forward to Christ. I know if you view it on a timeline and the cross is in the middle, it's like the shadow is cast onto the Old Testament. I know Chaplain Molstead talks about this a lot, but that shadow was the law that was pointing forward to Christ and the cross. And then we now, since we're living after the time of Christ, we can now look back and we can worship Him because we have seen Him. But this was their way of viewing Him. It was like there was a veil, so they couldn't see who it was, but they knew the Messiah was coming. And they knew Christ without actually knowing physically who He was as a person. So,
yeah, I like that. It's Christ. The cross casts a shadow on the Old Testament. And in the same way now too, we follow the law out of thanks. And it is servitude similar to what they did in the Old Testament, but
and not the ceremonial law.
Yeah, not the ceremonial law.
Not all these, yeah.
But yeah, we follow it, but we know that it doesn't earn us our salvation. So we do it out of thanks. We do it out of love and gratitude towards God.
Absolutely.
Well, I think that'll do it for this episode of the Playbook Podcast, our last episode as the Playbook Podcast. We are going to all be on Christmas break during the month of December while these episodes are coming out. So we filmed these ahead of time, but this one will be coming out right before New Year's. So Happy New Year's to everyone. I know I'm going to be traveling the 1st. So if you're traveling around that time too, we'll be praying for good weather and that you stay safe on the roads and everything too, and that you have good celebrations too. So
absolutely. Yeah, and with that being said, we will see you guys next year. Whatever parts... Sorry, I need a drink. My mouth, when your mouth gets like sticky kind of.
Excuse me. I'm just gonna go and have a drink, Lila.
Whatever parts the hoof and is cloven-footed and the chews and...
What the crap?
Wow, that is weird.
Bro doesn't know what he's talking about. Gotta get him here somehow. Oh, you know what we can do? We can put that video of him acting like the seal.
Yeah.
Like one of the seals. Oh! You know what I'm talking about?
Let's have a gun episode.
Our gun's biblical.
Jesus probably had guns.
There you have it, folks. iPhones are safer.
Yippee!
Welcome back, kids and coaches. My name is Kent Murphy. And we don't bunt on this podcast.
Welcome back, kids and coaches. I'm Coach Kent Murphy, and today I'm going to teach you kids how to bunt. I'm Kent Murphy. I don't bunt.
I need your help.
Oh, no.
I can't figure out how to order the pre-sale for Forest Springs tickets, and he says 75% of tickets are already gone.
What?
Yes, I need help right now. Oh, I'm about to rage.
No, don't rage.
No.
He's heating up!
Yes, no. What? What are you even talking about?
Pre-sales.
Yes, I hit C. Obviously, I hit that.
Please.
Xavier, I don't want to see the VIP packages because they're so expensive. How do I see the regular ones? I don't want the pre-show. Get tickets.
to be a
Jeez Louise, oh my
VIP.
gosh. This is just
Very
the worst
unimportant
run
person.
website ever. Change package! I don't want a VIP offer! How many times do I have to tell this thing? I don't have a code!
Pre-sale
What is the
seat offer.
code?
Here, I got it.
You got the code? Oh, generation, that's the code.
Good job, gentlemen. That could have been a disaster.
This is rage baiting me. I mean, that's... Oh!
Cut to the dude perfect rage monster clips.
That's crazy. He wants to do the whole thing. Such a nice house. I don't know why I'd want to get rid of it.
Who just farted? Yeah, and I'm clicking. Oh.
Oh, it worked. Oh, this website is so terrible.
I was clicking!
This website is terrible.
Where do you want to sit? Fine, I'll sit by myself.
Okay, there's one for like $70 if you sit by yourself.
Help me see the world.
Through your eyes,
To what breaks your heart.
it's breaking mine. The button that it says click it's before it click it's.
Oh, yeah, I hate tickets, yeah. It's all it's saying is VIP offers available. I don't want to be VIP. I don't want to be VIP.
I gotta let you go.
No, you don't.
Yes, I do.
Whatever, goodbye.
Love you, hon. Bye.
Love you too.
There's no okay chat this time.
All right, chat. She finally loves me. Man, this one's hardly gonna have any clips, I feel like.
Hardly gonna have any clips. Hardly gonna have any clips.
So what I'm about to read is from a medical journal. It says, pig is the cradle of human... Oh, man. Bacteria and toxins associated with pigs spread many diseases like salmonellas, which leads to the acute brucellosis, smallpox, influenza, anthrax, balantidad,
Oh my gosh.
and parasitic diseases.
No, okay, I'm not even reading that.
And also about shellfish from another research.
Oh man.
No, I can't even say normal words.
And a final tidbit about... Oh, man. What are we talking? Circumcision. I almost said backwards. So the... let me not start with there. Which is, you shall have a place outside your camp.
Nope.
Which is... Oh, my gosh! This
The
is
medical
so
journal
bad.
has completely messed you up.
Holy smokes.
And that's a ball... oh.
It was a ball.
Yeah, that's a ball. And you shall have a trowel with your tools, and when you sit down, you shall dig a hole with it and turn back and cover up your excrement. Excrement?
Excrement.
Yeah. Disease. Ask Karis. Bro. Ask Karis. Shout out Karis.
Okay.